the best, you have to overpay him to get here. But if you developing a standard, even if that guy is about to run through a wall for you, and if you can get somebody at their pay rate but better talent, or slightly above their pay rate but better talent and better IQ, better maturity, better just evolve, know how to handle pressure points, know how to play ball, or make my other player, my young players better. You go get that. So I think it was addition with subtraction. When they got rid of Devin Kennard and the fans were saying like, "That's this guy. Why would you get rid of him? What you gonna do now?" And then you go ahead and you go get somebody like Jamie Collins. But they don't play the same position. But what Jamie Collins brings is far superior to what Devin Kennard can give us. Because Jelani Tavai is your future investment. Devin Kennard was not going to basically um, he was not going to hold Jelani Tavai accountable on a higher level, on that championship level. You're talking about win loss Super Bowl type development, type deal. And he paid a little bit more to get Jamie Collins. But I overall, I think the investment is far superior than what you're gonna get out of. So you save what, 5 million on the cap with him. You take that five and add five, and you go get Jamie Collins. I think that's a great business move all the way around. But see, stuff like that is what I'm saying. It's like with Patricia had a few guys that came over here. We got the Tavon Wilsons and so forth, and a few other guys that may have brought over here that was willing to run through the wall for them. But you have your guys who establishes the foundation. Like they are the one that gets their hands dirty. They go to work for you. They go hard. But then at the same time, they only can go so far. And in the midst of that, you're gonna have some bad apples. And those bad apples may have been around for a while, and even to some degree, they may have been actually your very best bad apple, quote unquote. But they have to go, and you get what you can get for them. If you get a third and a fifth for it, you take it. If you get a fifth for it, you take it. You got to cut your ties and get better. I'm going to say this: Jeffrey Okuda and Trufant is better together. Triumphs over the loss of Darius Slay. I'm people say like, well, what are you saying about the other side of the ball? I'm saying like the other side of the ball is your future. That's a Mario Warrior. Yeah, that's your future. And I think, no disrespect, if you had Slay here, it was going to stifle your development because he's not he he is a he's Deion Sanders without Deion Sanders' pedigree. He is not without his accomplishments and everything else. He is Deion Sanders. Like, he blows his own trumpet. Now, don't get me wrong, he talks good. Deion Sanders talks good. And Deion Sanders was in fortunate situations where he was able to back it up, and all that good stuff. But uh, that's not a guy that, for a losing organization, and that has this invisible wall, and within that invisible wall is the ceiling is 8-8. If you overachieve like 1 year. What I mean, for the Lions' history, you could say that they are an 8-8 organization since the Super Bowl era. They are an 8-8 organization. And that's why Quinn is basically saying like 9-7 is not good enough. He's saying all that has to be torn down. That's from top, from the those in the high executive seats and all that good stuff, and all that stuff has to be torn down. That's that invisible wall. But that invisible wall is that mediocrity. Players do not develop there. There's no way that you bring a guy like Kyle Van Noy and he doesn't develop here. You have his spot that he was playing. I forgot what college he came from. I'm looking at Kentucky, but it's not Kentucky. I forgot what college he went to. But anyway, him coming out of college, I think it was between him and it was a linebacker that went to the Vikings that um, they was interested in. But anyway, well, at least when it came to the drafting. And when they got him, I was excited for him, because he's a good player, but they put him in the wrong position here. And once again, if your organization don't really know how to run a team, you can't help but to 8-8 is successful, you know, to some degree. It's average. It's not you lose. It's not that you win. You're in the middle of the pack. So you're not really. It's some success, but it's just not to be the standard of a team that been watching them lose for 50 years. It should not be enough. So when the Quinn says 9-7 is not enough, it's not enough. He's saying everything that's a part of the 9-7 culture has to be torn down. That's part of that 8-8 culture. Barry Sanders was a part of an 8-8 culture. Stafford was a part of that 9-7 culture. All that has to be torn down. Stafford is not the future; he's the present. And better yet, he's actually the past. He's just surviving right now because they don't have no replacement. Don't get. I mean, if I'm not going to say David Blau is like going to be a Tom Brady or any other coach other quarterback that actually comes out of the woodworks and just develops. For every Aaron Rodgers, there's a Brett Favre. A Brett Favre got bounced around from Atlanta or whatever, and I think he was like a later round pick, a fourth round or something like that, and he worked up under Mike Holmgren, and they developed something, but they're they don't necessarily have to have a number one draft pick. You just have to be at the right position at the right time, at the right place at the right time. And I believe David Blau can actually develop here. To be honest with you, what I close it with this, maybe what Bevel was able to do I want to say in Minnesota and with the Seattle. Now, before Russell Wilson was Russell Wilson, he was a guy that people probably thought he was too short, whatever, and they just signed Matt Flynn after he had a, a record breaking game with Stafford, and when the Lions were playing against Green Bay, and they sold. I mean, look, he had a good game, so he got him a contract, but he still didn't win the quarterback battle because he couldn't do what Bevel needed him to do, even though they paid him all that money. And a guy who they developed, a guy who they drafted, I don't know what round. I don't know if it definitely wasn't no first two pick. First, second round. So I believe Bevel has a way to develop what he has to work with if they can if they check off his boxes. And I believe if he was able to win with Driscoll and he was able to win with Blau, I believe Blau can equally get him some win. You're gonna have to help Blau. Don't get me wrong, because he's not Stafford. Stafford is a 10 plus year vet. He understands the game. And actually, Stafford have, you could say a more gifted arm than Blau does. But one thing I could say Blau may have that Stafford didn't have early on in his career is the IQ, how to slow the game down. Stafford was smart, but he didn't know how to use it. And the people say like, yeah, he had to be smart. He came back in 14 comeback games and all that stuff. And I'm like, what? That's nonsense. But in the course of those games, let's focus on the mistakes that he was making. Holding on the ball too long, or not sliding, or not throwing the ball out of bounds, or throwing an interception. It's a tale of two Staffords. If you're going to take Stafford is just in the same boat as Matt Patricia. Matt, as the bad that he get harped on, there's the good that he does. Somebody said like he's a bad coach because he doesn't do. I'm talking about Patricia, because the clock management is terrible, or he missed out on his play, or the run game stops here. But then at the same time, you have to look at him what he has done though. Like he did this. Every defensive coordinator or every offensive coordinator that goes up against him, and let's start with Andy Reid. They change, and look at that Chiefs game. Looking into that Chiefs game, And they went on. I believe that year was the same year they went on to win the Super Bowl. Chiefs did. He look how Andy Reid changed his offense. Now people say he didn't have Tyreek Hill or he didn't have certain players or whatever. I'm saying that he changed that game changed how Andy Reid was going to play for the rest of the season. It changed it. Actually, if you look at how Matt Patricia when he played against the who was the team that the Patriots beat in a Super Bowl, was it the Rams? And the Lions went toe to toe with them, whatever. And of course, the Lions lost that game. And but Bill Belichick gave credit to the Lions and said like they showed us what we needed to do. I'm saying Matt Patricia's defense and his system does work. And I asked this question to I give a shout out to the DSA. Uh, I asked them a question. I don't know if they got a chance to read it. When Matt Patricia was with New England and he was the defensive coordinator, did they ever have a bad defense when he had Trey Flowers, Jamie Collins, and Danny Shelton on the team at the same time? A bad defense. And I say that to this point. Trey Flowers to me is your team is your leader of this team. It's not Stafford. Stafford is the ice on the cake. Stafford is on his way out the door. He is not the leader of this team. He put like this. He has the most seniority, but he is not the leader of this team. I believe the leader of this team is Trey Flowers. He those game that Green Bay game that showed me a lot how he handled it, the situation inside the game, even in the interview. Now he's not the most like you could say he's not the most interview type guy. He's not the guy that you bounce all the questions off of. He's a straight shooter. Like, hey, I want to play football. I just play football. Type deal. And but when they asked him this question about how when he got called the second time for the same penalty for the same type penalty, he addressed it like, well, I moved my hand and I did this, but hey, I just got to get back to work. He handled it a different way. Now, when we was losing those games and they did the interview with Stafford, Stafford was like, well, hey, we got to get back to the drawing board. We got to be better and so forth. And this is just there was no heat on him. He early on he never took the heat. It was always a collective thing, and I get that. But I need my leader to take the heat. Now I don't need you to be rah rah. I don't need all that. I just need you to take. I need you to be the leader. Like I look at Isaiah Thomas as the leader. I look at Ben Wallace as the leader. The team goes as they go. So if Stafford's the leader, the team went as he went. So here we go back with this. He didn't have all his pieces. You could say the same thing about Patricia for the past 2 years. He didn't have all his pieces. He had brought some of his guys. Those are not his guys. His guys are the Jamie Collinses, the Trey Flowers, the Danny Shelton, Danny Amendola. Those are his guys. They think like him, and he don't have to. He don't have to tweak them to show them how to master what they do. They already mastered what they do. They good at what they do, and they actually making him a better coach by how good they know what to do on the field. They take it off the board and put it on the field, and they show him something. Like he can get a chance to evolve in himself, and he can go higher in himself to draw up a different type of play based off of what they can do on the field. Stafford is just not cracking open that shell for the past. Let's say since Carwell got here, he's he always scrambled. He tried to run everything else, but he's doing it in a different way. Where when he scrambled, he's not looking just to like scramble to throw the ball. He's looking. He's actually being smart. He scrambled to get the first down. He's scrambled to slide. He's playing IQ ball, and that wasn't always the case with Stafford. And people say like he popped his arm out of his socket and then he throwing the ball. They got him. That's rah rah. That's not IQ. Like I said, Joe Montana's my guy. From day one, Joe Montana was that guy. In my book. Some people could say Tom Brady. And Tom Brady was probably, yeah, you could say that. Peyton Manning, Peyton Manning would be my close second as a quarterback. But and he from day one, Peyton Manning was that guy. He was not a rah rah guy. He was a leader on the field. Like he did IQ. And IQ is not necessarily like smarts as much as it is, you know how to position yourself to maybe people play off of you one way and you can alter it the other direction. Stafford is just not getting that. It's recorded on record that Stafford would look at his target. This is with Calvin Johnson and all that stuff. He would look at his target, so everybody knew where he was going. Calvin was just that good, and he bailed out Stafford a lot of the time, just like Golden Tate did a lot of the time. Stafford is not an accurate quarterback. He's a gunslinger. He throw it up there, you go get it. Don't get me wrong. There are times where he is an accurate, precise quarterback, but that's not his mo. He's not known for accuracy. He's known for having an arm that makes all the throws. So, with that being said, uh, I believe that Patricia and Stafford are made for each other. I want to say it's almost the same as Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. I almost want to say it's the exact same thing, but it's like the flip of the coin. You know, Bill Belichick was the senior, and the rook was um, um, Tom Brady. And here is the reverse effect. Stafford's the senior, and Patricia is the rook. So, with that being said, Lions fan, I salute.